Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is The Take on this Friday morning. And I'll tell you what, the Market Rebellion team, we have been busy. And why have we been busy? Well, look at the week. We started off extremely strong. Then we got a little bit of weakness. As a matter of fact, yesterday we started to show a little bit of weakness. And obviously, with all of what was going on across over in Afghanistan, markets obviously did not like what they were seeing. Markets were sold off. And as a matter of fact, finishing basically call it the lows of the session. From the earlier dip, they actually recovered a little bit and then finished on the lows of the session. Both for the Dow, that was down about 200 points. You look over the NASDAQ, that was down about 100 points as well. We had a spike in volatility on that first move to the downside, got up and over 19. We got up towards 19 and a quarter. We did finish up around 1880 or so. So it was definitely a volatile day, and obviously we can point right at where that was. It was the unfortunate sighting of what we were seeing going on over in the Middle East, obviously in Afghanistan. And it's just, it was something that definitely had a major effect on the market sentiment at that time. Then you look over at this price of crude, that was dropping. That got underneath 68. We look at the Bitcoin, that has pulled back a little bit, but still it was hanging right around that 47,000 level. 10-year right around 135. But when you look at the major moves that we were seeing, for instance, you talk about the 10-year, you look at the financials. The financials did start off the day reasonably strong. We had JP Morgan, that was up near 164. Bank of America was up near about 43. Morgan Stanley was up and over 105, 105.50. They all pulled back. They all closed near the lows of the day yesterday. Energy was definitely under some pressure, obviously with oil after that big run, a little bit of an easing back. That was one of the leadership of down about a 1.5% or so. Consumer discretion, materials, technology, you look at the financials, all of which finished the day in negative territory, some of which sold off even a little bit more than others, but all a little bit less than 1% for sure. Now, some of the big movers that we had yesterday, how about Dollar Tree down about 12%? Ross Stores just can't find its footing after a bad earnings report and sold off again down about 4%. We look at these industrials as well, a little bit of a drop leading the Dow. You look at Boeing, you look at Caterpillar. That was really sort of the day in a nutshell. Now, getting into today, a lot different looking day. As a matter of fact, everybody focusing on the Fed, the virtual Jackson Hole conference meetings and all the rest of that, and Chairman Powell and what he has to say. Well, before he started to speak, markets looked pretty good. We were up about 50 points on the NASDAQ, about 80 points or thereabouts on the Dow. Then as the chairman came on and started to get a little bit going, all of a sudden, the next thing you know, we're up over 100 points on the Dow. We're up over 50 points still on the NASDAQ. Started to accelerate, and we started to see the NASDAQ explode to the upside as well as the Dow. Dow was up 200. As a matter of fact, NASDAQ up right about 100 points or so last I looked. I'm not looking at it right now because I'm still watching volatility, which is kind of started to ease back a little bit. We got into the 17s. We were pushing around 18, but with this nice move in the marketplace and pricing in the weekend, obviously you can expect to see that volatility index. As I've said, when you get to these Fridays, you start to see the pricing. As the day goes on, you'll see that volatility index. As long as there's no other major catalysts out there, it'll just keep on easing down as they price in those days of the weekend where we aren't trading. So what were some of the big movers? Well, earnings. And we talk about earnings season all the time, and we've gone through the big bulk, the majority of earnings season, but it's never over. And last night, you look at Peloton, that was down significantly early on, still down about 8 or 9% this morning. And a lot of those very expensive clothes hangers, they're not selling as many, and they're having some issues. And all of the things that are going on with Peloton right now, that was part of the pressure that we were seeing. A lot of negative news stories that actually stock looks much better than probably would have been expected when you were looking at last night. Gap stores, on the other hand, Athleta, you take a look at what they are doing, how they were doing it, the move to digital, all of the different celebrities that are involved now with that company. Nice big move to the upside, a really nice earnings reports, up about 4.5% last I looked. Big lots, not so great. A lot of misses there, a lot of issues going on. Stocks down about 9 or 10% under some serious pressure. It's all about execution. Workday, on the other hand, talking about cloud applications and all of that, that last I looked was up about 8%. Those numbers were absolutely extraordinary. When you look at the free cash flows that they were able to get and some of the extensions they had there and the growth itself, a nice big move to the upside out of that name. At the early onset, every single sector was in the green. Now, there's always some shifting after you get into the day and a little bit of movement here and there, but Last I looked, we were looking at the energy space. That was up about 2%. That was a leadership role. And then you start to look at the materials and financials starting to rip to the upside. Just a really interesting day. But I'll tell you, on the energy front, those beta names, once again, just an explosive move to the upside this time, as we see crude pushing up towards that 69, up about 2% or there. And you look at Occidental, that was up 4.5%. You look at Transocean, Rig, that was up significantly. Apache up over 4%. Devon up. All of those names really starting to get a nice move to the upside. Add in the Chevrons of the world, the energy space having a really, really nice recovery day after yesterday. So got a couple of unusuals, and I got the halftime report later on. Hopefully you'll be able to tune into that. It'll be noon Eastern on CNBC, of course. Bank of America is my number one. Now, stock trading right around 42.45. This is a name where we've seen significant option activity consistently. Seems to always trade at a very low implied volatility. That continues to be the case. But they're going out in a little bit of time. They're buying some time. That's something that is very unusual. Both the two options that I've got for you today are both going out a little bit further than normal. September 10th. So you're getting a couple of weeks. It's not expiring next week. It's not September 3rd. We're going to September 10th. 5,000, a little over 5,000. The September 10th expiring 45 calls. They're only about 11 cents up to about 13 cents. That's a nice leverage play. I like what I'm seeing there, and I like what the path has been recently with the financials. MRVL's my next one. Now, just coming off of earnings, this stock has been absolutely screaming to the upside. I think you've heard me mention this. When you look in the last year, outperforming NVIDIA. Nobody really talks about that. Nobody even knows about that. A very interesting competitor in a lot of ways as well. So, buyer of 3,900 of October, going out to October, the 67.5 calls. Those are going for anywhere between 70 and 75 cents. Stock was trading right around 60.5 or thereabouts. So, two unusuals going out in time. That's unusual. A lot of unusual. I got two more unusuals at least when we get onto the halftime report today. Until then, have a great weekend. You guys, I'll tell you what, I look forward to it. Stay disciplined. Understand these markets. Understand the derivatives world. Market Rebellion has a great educational team. If you don't, you want to check out these guys. Guys, have a great day of trading.